Broadcast is live. Okay. Hiyo ulisomea wapi? Hiyo klasi kwa TED?
Hii tu kwa YouTube.
Ulisomea YouTube? Utanitumia link niende hiyo klasi.
Sawa. Is it showing on your end?
Showing, I can see you, I can see Collins.
The Titans page.
Okay, that is now on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or what do you mean?
Yeah.
Let's see this. On the homepage.
Ebu, let me ask somebody.
Hukumaliza syllabus.
Seeing.
So how does it supposed to show on my page?
Not your page, the Titans page.
Ah. Okay. Check this.
If he's not successful yet, I think we'll just start because of time. We are already 12. We mmemanage ama bado? Basi mwambie tunaanza atatupata kati.
Titans coaching. Okay, seeing some stuff there. See it now.
I'm saying we can start. Then Austin will join us when he logs in because we can't wait anymore.
Okay.
Okay, Collins, you okay? I'm saying we can start. Then Austin will join us. We can't wait anymore.
That's another.
Okay, Collins, you okay? Okay, so good morning. And welcome to our session today. Today we are going to focus on the materialistic trends that are becoming very apparent in our youth. And we have 3 speakers today. We have Collins, we have Patrick, and there's a third one to join us, Austin. Once he logs in, then we'll be able to continue with him. My name is Anne Wafula. I'm going to be a moderator for the session. And I'll allow the other speakers to just introduce themselves before we get into the discussion. Collins?
Good morning. Thank you, Anne. I'm a teacher by profession, teaching international curriculum. And today, I'm happy to be here to discuss this very interesting topic, self-awareness under materialistic trends among the youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Morning. My name is Patrick Wanambisi, management and engineering consultant. Been working a lot with the youth under the SME programs. And it's an interesting topic when we're engaging the youth on materialistic components, because when we are discussing SMEs, it's business, and business brings a component of entrepreneurial skills and desire to expand your economical base. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Engage.
I'm hoping
Thanks.
I'm hoping Austin will log in time, because he's our youth guest for today. But given we had had a brief discussion with him, I want to kick off the discussion by just bringing to the fore what he mentioned as his definition of materialistic trends. Basically what he said, nataka kitu, natamani kitu, I want to get it, my parents are not in a position to get it for me, then what do I need to do? So napata inabidi afanye whatever they can to be able to get resources so that they are able to purchase whatever it is that they want. So in that context, Bwana Collins, maybe you can just share with us what is your understanding of this materialism that we are talking about, and what kind of pressures come with it or are making our youths actually fall into the trap of focusing more on materialistic tendencies as they go through life in general. Collins? Maybe Patrick, you can take it up as he gets back online.
Thank you. Of course, when we are looking at our understanding of what materialistic society is all about, there are various components somebody would like to look at. One is that material tend to push or tend to be defined as what defines somebody. So the society gets to preoccupied with what do I own, what do I have, what surrounds me in terms of my ability to purchase, my ability to have reasons of being within ourselves. So materialism brings in some component of conflict of the identity within society, conflict in identity within family members, conflict within peers. And so in essence, it's like it puts pressure on you to create your identity among your peers, among your family members, and just in community and society. So it's how worth you are, or how worth you want to define yourself, is what will define as materialism in society. Maybe my colleague Collins can add if he's back on there.
Collins, just looking at the issue of materialism and some of the pressures that come with it.
Collins seems to be off.
His mic is. Let me just send him a message so that he
the mic
knows.
is off.
Yeah.
Collins, your mic is mute.
Okay, as he comes back on, one of the things I was just thinking about when Austin shared about the pressures that come with it and wanting to fit into society, and looking back at what we discussed last week in terms of self-awareness, knowing who you are, the pressure from social groupings and how it impacts you. Do you think there is a correlation, as in, if I know myself very well, then the tendency to fall for or not to fall for materialistic things, does it zinashikana, zinaambatana, ama everything is on its own?
Collins, you're back. Can you pick on that, or I go ahead?
We can't hear him.
Can't hear.
Yeah.
Of course, self-awareness and knowing yourself are crucial. because the pressure we'll be discussing as we go further in our discussion, you realize that a lot of materialism comes in identity. You want to identify yourself within the society or the community. And therefore, if you know who you are, you know your strengths, you know your abilities, then it puts you in a better platform to manage yourself. Because when your identity is pegged on other definitions, on other people's definitions, then you're forced to have a lot of pressure to be able to match up with what people interpret or think you are. So self-awareness becomes a very crucial component when it comes to materialism and what the society or community understands it. And you're mute.
Sorry. Collins, are you on air now? Are you able to share something? Oh, okay. Maybe I'll just share a comment from Kenneth Wanga Ochieng, who's listening to us live, and he says that self-awareness can make us more proactive. It can. The youth is in, so Austin is in. Karibu, Austin. So I was just sharing a comment from Ochieng Kenneth Wanga, and he says self-awareness can actually make us more proactive. It can boost our acceptance, courage, positive self-development. He's watching from Lakisama. Thanks a lot, Kenneth. Faustin, Herbert, Flo, karibuni sana. Austin, karibu.
Yeah.
So we were discussing the first question on materialism, and I had quoted you. So probably you can just help us put it in context. For you as a youth, what does materialism mean?
To me, materialism inamaanisha you have mtu kona desire ya kutaka vitu, ya kuchukua vitu, like I want this na sija accomplish what I have to get, what I need ndo nipate hiyo kitu nataka. Like unataka kununua kitu cause ya maybe ya unataka tu. I think ni tamaa ya kukuwa na kitu, but you don't have the resources, hauna connections za vile utaipata, hauna kitu, so inaweza kufanya you do some things that will go against the rules maybe to get it. So like unakuwa tu na tamaa ya vitu. Hiyo ndo mimi naona, to me that's the meaning of materialism.
Okay. Collins, you want to chip in? Okay. So we'll move on, and we were just looking at the issue of some of the causes. What are the things that would make you, and this doesn't just apply to youth, it also applies to us as adults. There are times we will fall for such that you find you have a tendency, but because we are focusing on youth, we'll just maintain that. So what would be some of the causes to have this pressure for material things? Austin, probably you can help us put it in context. Alafu sasa our panelists can also chip in on what their thoughts are.
So the things that will make us have pressure for material things, I think kitu ya kwanza yenye it affects most youths ni peer pressure. So unaweza pata wewe peke yako, you're the odd one out of wase wako na maybe driving license, wako na maybe wamenunuliwa vitu na wazazi wao like bicycles, PS, alafu wewe una, so it drives you ndo kuwe na hiyo tamaa ya ku-access the thing that you want. Alafu ingine ni social media. So pia I think social media inaweza relate to pia ina bring about peer pressure pia na influences zengine, like naweza watch nione huyu boy ako na kitu fulani yenye sina, alafu hapo ndo interest inaanza kugrow, you want that thing. So hizo kwangu ndo ime affect most youths, na pia it's a challenge kwa life yetu hivyo. Like in our life hivyo, those are the major things that we go through.
Okay. Collins, are you now able to share your thoughts?
I believe now we have.
Yes, yes.
Materialism, the preoccupation with material wealth. But the most interesting thing nowadays is this material wealth is getting softer and softer and softer. People are not looking at hard cash as they used to right now. It's more of digital money. And in the near future, we'll be talking about Bitcoin. So the materialism is moving from physical wealth to soft wealth. And it spans across a lot of things, including social status, the wealth that we cannot touch, talent. There are youth who buy their talent. For example, you are a musician, but you cannot get where you want to. You want to push yourself with what you have up to that point. Yeah. And as our youth has said, the pressure is real. You might want something, you cannot get it. So you will try looking for other ways of getting that thing. Because the society is pushing you, your peers are pushing you.
There's something that, Collins, you have mentioned, the issue of materialism, like it pushing you to want to be better, to want a better life. Can we look at just the positive aspect of that? Because I think we were looking more at it from a negative perspective, but there is a tweak that you have brought from a positive perspective, that materialism can actually also be a positive impact in your life if it's actually taken within context. And maybe you can just elaborate a bit on that. Or even Patrick, you can say
materialism.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Now, materialism can be both positive and negative, depending on how we look at it. For some people, it might push them to better themselves, make their lives better by going through the right channels of getting what they want. In the process, the experiences they get will shape up their life. That is a very positive thing. For example, if you look at talent as a material, a soft material. So our youth here often sees another youth who plays football very well. He goes down, goes to YouTube, researches on football, practices more, and develops his talent through the right way. At the end of the day, he's going to gain very nice skills in football, and also in the process, he's going to better himself and put himself at a better position of becoming a pro footballer. So that's the positive side of materialism, if it is put into the right context.
Okay. Yeah. Patrick, you have something to share on that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember, there's something you'd mentioned earlier. You talked about it, and I think one of our listeners that mentioned that it has a lot to do with self-awareness. Because if I'm aware of my strengths and I'm aware of my abilities, then I'll pick what my colleague Collins is saying, that I pick it in a positive way. But if I'm not aware of what my strengths and my weaknesses are, then there's a chance that I will start to struggle to map myself to the society, and therefore, break in the context of me not being able to do it well. Why? Because I'm not a footballer, but because I just want to feel part and parcel of the peer group, I break myself. Because it becomes a pressure now. It becomes a negative thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And probably just to bring in a comment from Kaikai Saizigas, I hope I pronounce your name right. Despite materialism being a problem and affecting our identity, I think it's also vital for our comfort. And that is the positive part we are talking about in terms of materialism. There can be a positive aspect to it, there can be a negative part to it, but it's all dependent on your awareness of who you are as an individual. Thanks, Patrick says, Patrick Karaoke says, nice to see you enlighten the youth on materialism and its effects. Thank you very much. Now we'll go back to our second question where we were talking about the causes of pressure. And Austin had mentioned something to do with peer pressure and social media. Maybe, Patrick, you can just bring in your thoughts on this. What are some of the things that actually cause this particular trend among our youth?
Thank you. Just the way Austin has put it very clearly, one of the causes that makes us or make the youth go under a lot of pressure is the social media, and I think Austin had mentioned that. Social media is a very wide topic that we might not even be able to finish now. But just to mention a bit, things like Instagram or the Snapchat, where you're posting a picture which doesn't bring the you. You know, these are software that can change a very the complexion of somebody from dark to light, and give you certain things. They even put specs and all kind of stuff. My age mate will struggle with that. But you'll find that the social media now brings in a different person. Sio ule mtu ambao mnajua. When you're meeting this person the real person, you're wondering, ni huyu niliona kwa Facebook ama ni jirani wa huyu, because it's a total different thing. So social media has come in and really given the youth a lot of pressure in terms of bring themselves in a different way. Two, there is what we can call brand consciousness. Here Austin had mentioned that somebody's a footballer and you're pegging yourself with the Messis and the Ronaldos of our time, and that is a brand. So you're forced to start calling yourself to become a brand where your internal self cannot accommodate. I mean, there's your ability, there's what you can be able to do and what you cannot be able to do. So if the brand consciousness comes into play, then you struggle to get yourself under this pressure we are talking about. Three, just to make it slightly smaller, there's what we call fake personality development. It goes back to what Austin was talking about. What we see is a fake you, and what the real you is so different. So you'll be forced to. I remember the other day watu walikuwa wanasema kwamba hii COVID iishe, watu wapige picha mpya. You want to take new photos so that you start hitting them on Facebook and the rest of the places. So fake personality is also coming to really hit on us in terms of identity and pressure on ourselves. And then lastly, there's what we call social acceptance. You're struggling to be accepted in the society, and that pressure of being accepted in the society again puts in a lot of demand on you and your character. So those are some of the things I would like us to engage as we discuss further on how the pressure for materialism and society comes in.
Patrick, Collins, you want to say something about that? The causes
yes,
of
maybe just in addition. Yes, in addition to what Patrick has said, I would add less psychological satisfaction. When you feel like it's only material things that will bring you happiness. So what you do is you chase after brands and services, go for Versace, Gucci, just to make you happy, not because you really want them or you need them, just to make you happy. So that is also another cause for pressure for materialism.
Okay. Now I have a question from Flojep, and she's asking, how do youth who grow up under materialistic parenting manage negative materialism? Now this is where remember when we talked about identity, where the culture affects where you've been brought up. So if I've been brought up in a family where materialism is highly valued, the tendency for me to move towards the negative is higher, because I will place more value on the material things as opposed to what is important to me as an individual. So how do I manage the negative materialism? Maybe Austin, you want to say something?
Maybe like come up with the question again, sijaipata vizuri.
Kama msee amelelewa na parents wenye wanapenda material things in terms of wana flaws and all that, then how do they get themselves out of that? Mi kama youth nitajitoa aje kama nimelelewa kwa familia kama hiyo?
So anyway, hiyo who affect mostly sijaingilia, but in affect the higher classes, the people wenye wako high class. So maybe tuseme mzazi wangu alikuwa anafanya job pahali and he or she was earning a lot na hakuna kitu nishawahi kosa nikiuliza, then all of a sudden vutwe kazi, things inaanza kwenda down. So what naweza sema, it's just you have control of things. Usizoee kutumia vitu, just use them resourcefully. Maybe you can, if I have a phone, naweza tumia hii simu kufanya kitu which can bring something yenye naweza support nayo. Unaona, like uko na internet, you have everything, use them resourcefully. Nifanye kitu, nipate do, nijisupport, ni save kidogo. So kama mzazi wako wako that place, you can start utilizing the resources anakupea, then uzisave or una invest kwa kitu, then you get something. Labda in case kitu inaenda wrong, you'll be using it, itakusave. Alafu pia have self control yenye si ukitaka kitu you have to work ndo upate hiyo, ndo earn hiyo kitu yenye unatafuta. So as usijiinvolve kwa vitu mbaya.
In fact, one of the things muambia some of the parents is, instead of just giving money, let the children work for it. Like give chores. They could be chores related to school, they could be chores just to build their responsibility. And then they earn money. It could be pocket money they're earning, not a lot of money, but it starts building responsibility in the children. So as they grow up and get into the youth bracket, then they already know, for me to get money, na work for it. Then I'm able now to plan for it accordingly. Now, kabla Patrick and Collins come in, I just thought about this sponsor mentality. In fact, during this COVID, kumekuwa na jokes nyingi sana, especially when it started. Yenye unapata watu wameparara juu sponsor hayuko, hawapatani na sponsor. So as we talk about the growing up under materialistic parenting, can we also bring in this concept? Why are we falling so much, especially the youth? Why do we want this life that we are ready to compromise so much and do what the sponsors want so that we are still at a particular level in life?
There was something that I'd wish to mention, which also is what we are literally discussing about self-centeredness. When you're not conscious of the persons next to you, you're not conscious of what is happening the next door. It makes you imagine that your world is what we have just been defining. It's the world where everything is being provided, the world where I press a button and things are happening. But if you are conscious that there's a next door neighbor who, to them, maybe even having breakfast is still a privilege, or is this something that they get it as often as you do, then you realize that you are living in a community and society where a lot of things happen and others are considered as privilege. So as we look at this concept of materialism and the pressure that it brings in, then we also need to start getting ourselves aware that if we do a lot of self-centeredness approach in issues of life, then we miss out on how to moderate on factors that are materialistic in nature. So it's important that we become aware of the community around us, we become aware of the society around us and what's going on other than what is happening in my own house.
Yeah, Collins, your take? And probably before Collins, you give us your thought. Collins, just a sec. Before you give us your thought, there is a question from Patrick Karaoke. He's saying there is a very thin line between being materialistic and being ambitious, which is very true. So where is the boundary? So probably as you zero in, you can also try to answer that question.
Okay. Now, I like the way Patrick and Austin have brought it out. Self-control, self-centered approach. Those two things are very, very important. Whereby self-centered approach would make you extremely materialistic. You'll always think about yourself, about the environment. You will not understand what is outside. This is true. Self-control, on the other hand, is whereby you can stop your wants at a particular time and say, this is a want, let me go for only the needs, and maybe share with the other people that don't have the same as I have. And that brings the next concept in, which is volunteering. How many youth are willing to volunteer? The moment they volunteer, that is when they see the reality. If you live in a leafy suburb and a very nice place, if you volunteer and go to the slums and see how people live, you will understand as a youth or even any other person that all the material wealth do not mean anything, because the moment you volunteer and help someone and they smile, everything goes down. And the only thing that remains is humanity, helping others. Now, the question from Patrick Karaoke, the thin line between being ambitious and materialistic. That is very, very true. It's just the same as what people say, there's a very thin line between lust and love. Now, however, being ambitious means you are constructively materialistic. You are looking for that material, but in a constructive way. Being purely materialistic means you're becoming destructively ambitious, meaning that you're looking for that thing, but in the wrong way completely. That is my opinion. Back to you, Anne.
Okay, thank you. And probably just to also add to the discussion, the issue about values, Collins, you brought that out. And I think in the context of self-awareness in relation to what we are discussing today, as a person, if I know what my values are, then it will help me to distinguish between being materialistic and being ambitious. Because when I'm ambitious, I'm actually following things that are in line with the value system that I hold. But when I'm materialistic, then kuna vile I'm compromising here and there. So before we move to the next question, there is to the next part of the discussion. There is a question by Kaikai. The second name was a bit hard for me to pronounce. And he says that I presume materialism occurs in all classes of social life. Both the rich and the poor suffer from materialism. Could you help clarify how the same works for the different social classes? Materialism vis-a-vis the social classes. What thoughts come into mind? Because like Collins, what you're talking about, when people volunteer, when I come from the work in a low-income neighborhood, is there any impact when it comes to how I view materialism? I guess that's what he's trying to understand.
There's one of
that's a very interesting question.
Sorry, Patrick, let Collins go, and then we'll come to you, Patrick. Yes, Collins.
But I believe, as the question was put, all the social classes have materialism. And there's a quote that I saw somewhere that was saying, what others take for granted is what others pray for. So in that case, everyone wants something. be it from the lower social classes or the upper social classes. Now, the difference is maybe the weight and the magnitude of what they are looking for. Someone in the lower classes might be looking for maybe $2 or 200 shillings, and the one on the higher class might be looking for 200 million. How they look for it would define how materialistic they are.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, you wanted to say something about that question?
Yeah, there was something you'd mentioned which is very pertinent when you're looking at both positive and negative understanding of materialism. You mentioned about values. You mentioned about what are my values as I pursue, because wealth and whatever you would like to call it, it's not bad. It makes, somebody mentioned that it makes your life comfortable, right?
Yeah.
I'm able to drive to work. I'm able to, I can move from point A to B at my own pleasure. Not that I need now to go and look for, maybe assuming I need to use public, and public will delay and all that. So I have to tie myself across board. So materialism will make your life, material will make your life comfortable in context of the positive nature. But as we engage in this discussion, it tends normally to come a lot, if you're looking at percentage ratio, a lot it comes in the negative connotation. That you'll be looking at it, but you want to pursue it in with the wrong motive. I want to brag about it. I want to put pressure on people, or I want to use it to punish other people or something like that. I mean, if you're looking at it from the negative point of view. So what should guide you in whatever level you are, whether the high end or the lower end, is if and when I get this particular resource or material, economic or power, am I using it with the right values? Am I using it with the right definition of life? Am I in consideration of my community and society around me? Am I in consideration of my neighbor? If I'm looking at it in that context, then you can pursue it with the greatest energy you have. You can pursue it with the greatest strength you have. But if you're looking at it with any other different aspect to it, then you'll be going to the negative definition of materialism.
Okay.
So let's look at it from the context of, I'm getting it and should be for the benefit of myself, my family, and the community around me.
Okay. So literally what you are saying, there is no fundamental difference in terms of the social classes. It's more about the value system.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry, Austin, you want to say something about that? The social classes vis-a-vis materialism.
According to my understanding, I think everyone individually is affected by this materialism. So it doesn't need to be a social class. Either you don't have to be rich or poor. Everyone has his or her own materialism that affects himself or herself. I think that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Now, before we move to the next section, Collins, there's something you said about destructively ambitious and constructively ambitious. Herbert made a comment that he loves that distinction, and I think that's something that you can take away. Being destructively ambitious vis-a-vis constructively ambitious in the context of materialism. Now, our next topic is the effect of material things among our youth. When we look at these material things we are talking about, of course, we've said there's the positive side and there's the negative side, but the negative kind of outweighs the positive side. So when we look at this, what are some of the pressures of these material things and how do they affect the youth? Probably, Austin, you can kick it off. Vile wase wanapenda material things, how does it affect them as individuals?
As individuals,
or even as a community. Yes.
So kuna the positive part yenye you have to work. If you want something, you have to work. You get the currency that you need, alafu ununue hiyo kitu unataka, uimprove life yako. So hiyo inasaidia youths cause inawa keep occupied, alafu ndo achieve, lazima work hard, anajua nafaa kufanya hii procedure na hii procedure, then nipate hiyo item yenye nataka, so ita improve living status yao. Now the negative I think ni sasa, maybe mtu ako lazy, hata ataka kufanya job apate do ndio ainunue, atenda tu direct ende aibe ama afanye kitu yenye haifai, apitie vichochoroni afanye hivyo, alafu maybe anaenda hapa ameshikwa ama amepigwa, vile unaona mob justice, hiyo kitu ni mbaya. So hizo ndo effects mi huona inasaidia wasee, ina affect youth.
Okay. Collins, you are nodding. Probably you want to beef it up.
Yes. I like the way Austin is bringing it out. Looking at it both from the positive end and the negative end. So allow me to add on the negative end first of all. We have one major problem with the youth right now, and that is saving. They do a lot of shopping and save very, very less. And that is due to the pressure for material things. Because when they see something and someone else has it and it's trending online, they want it. So they'll end up using their money on the material stuff without saving for maybe the system. Another thing also is that if they cannot get it, then they start falling into depression, which is also another effect from this pressure on the youth. They are trying to get it, they cannot get it in the right way, they cannot think of any other way of doing it, and they cannot see themselves without that specific thing or several things that they want. Therefore, they fall into clinical depression, which is a very, very bad thing, which is on the rise at the moment. We also have increase in debt. Most of the youth are having issues with debt, and this is where now the branches come in, the online platforms, Branch, Sala, Orcas, and so on, because they want the thing. Most of the time it's a want, it's not a need. And they go for debt so that they can satisfy this want, leading to an increase in debt. Those are the negative effects of pressure for material things. And actually, Austin covered the positive side where he says you can push the youth to work for it, which is very true. I like how you brought it out clearly. Back to you, Anne.
Thank you. Patrick, you want to add something, or we just share with us what the role of parents and guardians are in this journey of materialism?
Just a bit of it. I see the effect of pressure for this. It also gets you into some background noise or something. It brings the concept of you become unmanaged. Because you want things, and maybe your parents cannot afford. And as my colleague Collins has put it, you want to do shopping, you want to do many things, so it makes you become unmanaged. You're a kid in the home. Your identity becomes an issue, and all that kind of stuff. So it's important that we learn how to manage this, because it can affect your personality. It can affect the way you relate with everybody. So it's important that we manage that very well. For the depression we are talking about here, I know Colin has not unpacked it so heavily because of time. This depression can sink in, and then you become somebody that people can't manage. So it's important that we really take this seriously as we go forward.
So probably you can link that to the issue of what parents and guardians can do to be able to guide their children and the youth through this path?
Thank you, Anne. The aspect of having parents and guardians is very important because the life of a human being is the same. We don't reinvent anything. Even parents went through the same life. They were youth one time, and now they are where they are, maybe with very different challenges coming in. But it's a life path they have gone through. So it's like somebody holding your hand and telling you, you know what? If you go this way, the farthest you can go, there is a wall there. I know it. It's there, and you're going to meet it. But because of maybe lack of understanding that we as parents also went through the same path, you imagine that they don't know. They don't know that if I engage in activity 1, 2, 3, this is the result. Two, parents also have got they have the experience, and that experience from themselves, from others, and comparing notes with many other persons, it helps you not to redo. You don't need to write a life when we already have certain set examples out there. So it's important as youth we listen to these parents. They know more. I mean, these are factual. It's fact. They know more. So listening to them is important. The third thing that we need to know is that it is important of us trying to have what we can call real life. Engage people to discuss your real life. Let's not become fake. Let's not help other people. Let's not try to, be what we are not. We've mentioned about identifying ourselves and knowing our strengths and our weaknesses and what we're able to do and what we cannot be able to do. With that in mind, then it's important that we listen to the guardians, the parents, as they talk to us with a real relationship. With a real relationship. That is the only place where you can be real. Out there, you can fake as much as you can. But when you come back to these people whom you're calling parents or guardians, then listen to them with a real relationship. Try to create a relationship that is real. This is me. This is what I'm going on. These are friends. This is what has done to me. That kind of a relationship will help you and to be able to be guided and shown the way. The last point that we need to understand is that it's important we engage in such kinds of discussions. As we do, we're able to blend the different experiences and be able to share experiences. So such discussions are important. I know we are going to be having series of such many other discussions, so which I also welcome the youth to be on board, so that as we discuss this, you're able to learn. Keep on learning, keep on getting new information and knowledge that will help you understand yourself and be able to relate with people better.
Thank you. So before we go to Collins, Austin, as a part of the receiving end, how would you want us as parents or guardians to interact with you as youth, so that what Patrick has shared, as we try to guide you, you are looking at it from a positive side? Si kuona huyu mzazi ananiambia nini, pia alikuwa youth at one time. Your thoughts?
So my thoughts are like, kitu mimi najua ni that when you become hard to your child, kama ni youth, I know ata resist. That's what I know. So the possible way to correct mtoto ama kumuongelesha, try to reason with him, alafu talk to him or her in a friendly manner, yenye hautakuja umshautie, alafu unajua saa once you shout to that youth, ataona huyu sasa ndiye atajiuliza kwa akili, ajui shai happen, atajiuliza sasa huyu ananiambia nini, unaona? So kitu mnafaa mfanye, just mchukue, you sit down, you talk in a friendly way, you make jokes, ndio akuzoee, ajue sasa. Ukirizon na yeye atajua enyewe kama ni hii ameniambia ningoje, wacha ningoje, najua situation maybe si poa saa hizi, wacha nitulie, ikicome through atanisaidia, unaona? So sasa hivyo ndio atafanya if you talk to him or her pole pole. But ukikuja ukimshautia, maybe atakasirika, saa aseme wacha sasa nifanye ndo ni improve wrong. At the end labda inakuja kumaffect, ama ina affect mzazi, ama ina affect nyinyi wote, unaona? So mi kitu nafanya, just try reasoning with the youths, mkae chini mnaongelesha in a soft way yenye wataelewa juu pia they are also human. Ukiongelesha polepole itafika kwa roho, ukienda mbio hata najua nyi pia mkiongeleshwa vibaya mta resist, unaona, that's the human nature. Hivyo ndo mimi I think hivyo ndo niliambiwa pia na a fellow friend, na pia anani advice, alafu that's how life is.
Okay. Collins, any thoughts on that?
Yes, nimelike venye Austin anai bring out ukienda hard wana resist na wana move away, ukienda soft they move closer and they take heed of what they're being told. This is actually true, and I'd like to link that to what my colleague has just said, Patrick, real relationships. Bringing out the reality. Guardians and parents sitting down with their children and telling them, this is how we are, this is how far we can go in terms of maybe purchasing things, or maybe in terms of acquiring one or two things they need. Because you'll find that some parents would go through a lot of trouble to make the lives of their children very, very comfortable, to a point that they overdo loans and overdo other credits, leading to this child having a mindset that we are very rich and nothing can happen. And when anything happens in future, you'll find them living the same way, of forcing themselves to live in a lavish way, the materialistic way, as their parents were. So this is the real relationship that will come on. Telling them, this is what we can get for you, and this is not what we can get for you. It reminds me of Christmas December, when if you sit at Christmas, you want a new garment all the time. So Daddy would come up and say, Christmas, if you don't know, go January, that is what you wear for Christmas. So you know at that point, your parents have nothing to buy for you that time. So you swallow your pride, put on what you have, and you do your business for Christmas. The real relationship. Now, parents and guardians, there is another class of people there also that we could include, who play a very big role in the lives of youth, and those are teachers. The way teachers handle the students would also make the difference between them being realistic and them being constructively ambitious. Teachers should always work to inspire the students. They should not push them to think that getting money and coming with cars and having big houses is the only thing. But they should always try to inspire them to build value that would help them in future. So teachers should also come in strongly and help you in that process.
Okay.
Back to you, Anne.
Thank you very much. So as we come to the end of this discussion, probably in the interest of time, you will just share what your thoughts are on this particular one as you give your closing remarks. And basically what we are looking at are what are some of the solutions that we can come up to help the youth better manage the issue of materialism and focus more on ambition, or if I can put it the way Collins put it, focus more on constructive ambition as opposed to destructive ambition. Tutaanza na Austin. So you say your thoughts, alafu you can also give your closing remarks in the interest of time.
My thoughts, as I had said, just show them, parents should show the youths the affection and love they need. Wasiwapeleke mbio pia, nawapeleka polepole, because I know this is just a stage tuna undergo in life, so that juu pia ukikuwa youth you learn a lot in life ndo ukiproceed. So that's my opinion, just take them slow, make them understand things na wataifuata vizuri.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Patrick or Collins, who wants to go next? Okay, Patrick.
Okay, I think I like what Austin has mentioned.
Yeah.
But just to pipe up what my colleague Collins has really been putting across, there's a need for us to really make a clarity on the needs that you as a youth have. If we concentrate on that, vis-a-vis what I want, there is a lot of what I want. Even where I'm seated here, there's a lot of what I want. But the constraints that come in because of money, and I think Austin had mentioned that if we explain to them, mwambie ndio nitakununulia, lakini kwa saa hii I don't have money, right? If we make that clarity in our engagement and life with the youth, let them really know that this is what I need. I can eat, I can sleep, I can do blah blah blah. Those are the needs. But these are the things we have wish lists, we dream about, and let them not put you under a lot of pressure. Let them not be like, if I don't now have a DL today and now because my peers are doing DL, then you cause a lot of problems at home. No, those are what you can take and have any other time. Let us make a clear distinction of my needs and wants. If that will be clear on both ends, then I think the pressure will come down. And we are going to have a relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Collins?
Yes. Now, one of the solutions that can be taken in, but it's one of the hardest, is cutting down on TV and social media. And also, the youth should understand and should see right through what happens in social media, whereby someone will show you their fake life and give you pressure. Look at it and see the lives and work around it. Do not allow it to push you down. Cut down on TV and do a lot of volunteering work. That will also help you in understanding the society around you and the community. And this materialism is something that can be fought or changed into something constructive by both parents and youth. We should hold hands and work together to make it better.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So in conclusion, because we've actually run out of time and we apologize for going over, but I guess the discussion got quite intense. In summary, what would like to leave you with is know what you stand for. Because if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. So have a strong value system. And for you to have a value system, you need to know who you are as an individual. So if you go back to what we discussed last week, or if you just research online, there's a lot of information online. Just get to know who you are, or if you want us to share more information on how you can find out or how you can better understand who you are, just drop us a line and do that. But the key thing is you have to know who you are, have a clear value system, then it will guide the kind of decisions that you make. And thus, in the context of what we discussed today, you'll be able to be constructively ambitious as opposed to being destructively ambitious. And with that, we really thank you for your time, and we ask you to log in again, tune in again next week on Saturday, same time, same channel, for another discussion under self-awareness. Thank you so much, and for the panelists, a big thank you. Also, thank you for bringing in the perspective. So we wish you a lovely weekend and all the best in what you do. Thank you.